Good morning students. We are back with P block elements. Under P block elements, that is elements belonging to group 13 to group 18 are called as P block elements. But as per our syllabus, elements from group 15 to group 18 are included. What is their electronic configuration? Electronic configuration is NS2 NP126. Then what elements are coming under group 15? Na, Pina, Ic, subkph, that is nitrogen, phosphorus, arsenic, antimony and bismuth. Of these 5 elements, our nitrogen shows anomalous behavior. What is the anomalous behavior of nitrogen? Nitrogen is a gas while all other elements are solids. And nitrogen is diatomic while all other elements are tetraatomic. And nitrogen shows the oxidation state as -3 and +5, and nitrogen form hydrides. So these are the anomalous properties of nitrogen. Then we saw reaction of nitrogen with sulfuric acid. We saw reaction of nitrogen with nitric acid. We saw reaction of nitrogen with some other metals. Then we saw allotropes of nitrogen, phosphorus. Then we saw isotopes of nitrogen, etc. Then how to produce nitrogen? Nitrogen can be produced using ammonium chloride, that's the first method. It can be produced from hydrazine, that's the second method. And commercial production of nitrogen is by means of Haber's process, that also we have seen. Next, moving to the chemical reactions of ammonia. Children, there are two categories. See, when my ammonia reacts with a less amount of oxygen, I will be getting dinitrogen. If ammonia reacts with excess oxygen, then I will be getting nitric oxide. This is what the reaction. See, ammonia reacts with oxygen. It burns a lot of air, that is oxygen. The flame is yellow-green in color. I will be getting dinitrogen. Now here, when ammonia reacts with excess of oxygen in the presence of platinum as a catalyst, I will be getting nitric oxide. That is nitrogen monoxide. See, almost all the reactions in this chapter are very direct reactions. Then, reducing property of ammonia. See, ammonia reduces copper oxide to free copper. Say for example, ammonia has reduced copper oxide to free copper along with water and nitrogen. So, the color turned from black to brown. So, these are the chemical reactions of ammonia. Then, what is the reaction of ammonia with halogens? Say for example, ammonia reacts with chlorine to form ammonium chloride. And when ammonia reacts with excess of chlorine, I will be getting nitrogen trichloride. Okay. This is also like oxygen. We have less amount as well as in case of excess amount. So when ammonia reacts with less chlorine, we will be getting ammonium chloride. If it is reacting with excess of chlorine, I will be getting NCl3, which is nothing but nitrogen trichloride. Then this is nothing but formation of a coordination complex. As we have already discussed about the reducing property of ammonia, here your ammonia along with, if I add water to ammonia, I am going to call that as ammonia solution, because what it is containing? It is containing hydroxyl ions. Okay, it is having hydroxyl ions. Now, what happens when this ammonium hydroxide is treated with copper sulfate? Copper sulfate is reduced to free copper, means a blue color solution is precipitated. Okay. So when ammonia, that is aqueous ammonia solution, is treated with copper sulfate, a blue precipitate is formed where your copper sulfate is reduced to free copper. Okay children. Now this precipitate dissolves in excess of ammonia. As a result, you will be getting a deep blue solution. When I just drop this precipitate in excess of ammonia solution, the precipitate dissolve very nicely and I will be getting a deep blue solution. Okay, this is the same way when I am going to add ammonia to iron. We know iron's color, it's green color, right? So dark green color, because ammonia here is going to reduce your iron. So when ammonia reacts with Fe2 plus and Fe3 plus, both are reduced. Say for example, when it reacts with Fe2 plus, it forms dirty green precipitate. If it reacts with Fe3 plus, then brown precipitate is formed. Both these are insoluble in excess of ammonia. Okay, clear. So we have seen the reactions, chemical reactions of ammonia. We saw with less oxygen, we saw with more oxygen, we saw with less chlorine and excess chlorine. Then we saw the reducing property of ammonia, where it has reduced copper sulfate to free copper, and ammonia solution, it is converting copper sulfate to free copper, a blue precipitate is formed, and when you dissolve it, a deep blue color solution is formed. Then what happens to iron? That also we have seen. Next, moving to the reaction, ammonia. When you add water to ammonia, you will be getting ammonium plus hydroxyl ion. Because of this reaction, I am going to call ammonia solution as a basic solution. Then, when I treat ammonia with sodium hypochlorite, NaOCl, when I am going to treat ammonia with sodium hypochlorite, I will be getting hydrazine. Okay children, this is an important reaction. NH2NH2 is a formula for hydrazine. So, hydrazine, sodium chloride, water is produced. Now, what is the third reaction? When I am going to treat ammonia with an S-less reagent along with alcoholic KOH, I will be getting a Millen's base. Because of this Millen's base, this is nothing but your brown color precipitate is formed with the liberation of potassium iodide and water. Okay. Let me sum up this three reaction. The first reaction, ammonia, when water is added to it, I will be getting ammonium plus hydroxyl. This reaction is basic in nature. Second reaction, when I treat ammonia with sodium hypochlorite, then I will be getting hydrazine. Then third reaction is when I am going to treat ammonia with an S-less reagent, I will be getting a brown precipitate because of Millen's base. Then uses. Whenever we talk about ammonia, immediately the one which comes into our memory is nothing but ammonia is a fertilizer. It's used in agriculture where its role will be as a fertilizer. So it is used in softening water, it's used in making nitric acid, it's used in making plastic, used in the manufacture of fertilizers. So these are the uses of ammonia. What did I tell you? Ammonia is used in making nitric acid. So our next topic is nitric acid. Oxides of nitrogen is not included for final exam, but nitric acid is included. So how to prepare nitric acid? What is the formula for nitric acid? Before telling the formula of nitric acid, let me differentiate what is nitric acid and nitric oxide. Nitric oxide, you know, it's laughing gas, NO. Nitric acid is HNO3. Okay, how H2SO4 is sulfuric acid, HNO3 is nitric acid. Nitric oxide is NO or nitric monoxide. That is also called as nitric monoxide. Now we are moving to the preparation of nitric acid. See, in the laboratory, when I add sodium nitrate, that is NaNO3, when I add sodium nitrate along with the sulfuric acid, this is a displacement reaction where sulfate will be going and attached with sodium. So sodium bisulfate and nitric acid is formed. So the first laboratory preparation is by using sodium nitrate along with sulfuric acid. You will be getting nitric acid, which is nothing but my destiny, and sodium bisulfate is formed. And suppose if I want it in large scale preparation, then I should take ammonia, oxidize ammonia along with oxygen. You will be getting nitric monoxide. Okay, what is this? This is nitric monoxide and water. Now, this nitric oxide is again reacted with oxygen, so that I will be getting nitrogen dioxide. So, this nitrogen dioxide is absorbed in water to form nitric acid and nitric oxide. So, this is all one reaction only, because I told you in the laboratory you are producing with the sodium nitrate and sulfuric acid, which is nothing but a displacement reaction done. But for large scale preparation, ammonia is treated with oxygen to form nitric oxide. What is this? This is nitric oxide. This nitric oxide is again treated with oxygen in the air to form nitrogen dioxide. Okay, this is nothing but your exothermic reaction. Then this nitrogen dioxide is absorbed in water, so that I will be getting nitric acid and nitric oxide. Okay, nitric acid and nitric oxide both are produced. Now this is nothing but the preparation and overview as a catalyst. Overview as a flow chart. This is your structure of nitric acid. As I told you, it is HNO3 and it is plus and this is minus. So it is having lone pair. Now we saw the preparation of nitric acid. What is the chemical property of this nitric acid? See, this is a very important reaction. Whenever there is a presence of dilute nitric acid, the end product, one of the end products should be nitric oxide and water. If you are using concentrated nitric acid, then it should be NO2 and water. Done? Clear? So this is the two hint for you. Whenever dilute nitric acid is used in the reaction, the end product should be nitric oxide and water. If concentrated nitric acid is used, then nitrogen dioxide and water should be the end product. Now, when copper reacts with nitric acid, it should be copper nitrate. When copper reacts with concentrated nitric acid, that also copper nitrate. But what is the only difference? The byproduct along with copper nitrate is slightly different when you consider dilute and concentrated acid. In case of dilute nitric acid, it should be nitric oxide. In case of concentrated nitric acid, it should be nitrogen dioxide plus water. Okay. Now, when your nitric acid reacts with non-metals like copper, what is the product? Carbon dioxide, water, nitrogen dioxide. Okay, this is with non-metals. Now, when it reacts with the metals like gold, see, this is a reaction with aqua regia. What is aqua regia? Aqua regia is nothing but a combination of nitric acid and hydrochloric acid. So nitric acid and hydrochloric acid along with Au, what is the product? It is orochloric acid. HAuCl4 is nothing but orochloric acid. HOCl is hypochloric acid. This is NOCl, so nitrochloric acid plus water molecule. So this is the chemical properties of nitric acid. We have seen the reaction with the dilute nitric acid, then concentrated nitric acid, then non-metals and metals. Metals in case with aqua regia. Then what happens with hydrocarbons? See, nitric acid when reacts with benzene, then nitrobenzene is produced. Okay. Then nitric acid with what is this? C6H5CH3 is nothing but toluene. When I attach a methyl group to benzene group, it is called as toluene. When I attach OH group to benzene group, it is called as phenol. Okay, done. Now when I add nitric acid to toluene, then what happens? See, these two reactions are catalyzed by concentrated sulfuric acid. I have got in 3 positions NO2 is attached, so that is called as 2,4,6 trinitrotoluene plus water. Very direct reaction. I have toluene, I have added nitric acid. So in second position, fourth position, sixth position, NO2 group is attached. So 2, 4, 6, 3 nitrogen groups, so 3 nitro group. So trinitro. What is the substrate? Toluene. So trinitrotoluene is the end product. This is also same reaction as I told you, phenol. Benzene with OH group is phenol. To phenol I have added nitric acid. So it is trinitrophenol. Like how you told here, trinitrotoluene. Here it is trinitrophenol plus water molecule. Now if I add, see for example, if I add nitric acid with cane sugar, C12H22O11, you know the structure of benzene, you know the structure of glucose, fructose, maltose. In the same way, this is the formula for cane sugar. When I add nitric acid to cane sugar, then I will be getting oxalic acid and water. You know the formula for formic acid. HCOOH is formic acid. Oxalic acid is 2 molecules of COOH. Okay. It is nothing but 2 COOH is nothing but oxalic acid. So when I add a nitric acid to cane sugar, I will be getting oxalic acid and water molecule. Oxides of nitrogen, this part is not there for final exam, but let me give a recap as in the form of tabular column. This I will be sending you in the form of notes. What are the oxides of nitrogen like mono, NO2, NO3 in the form. Phosphorus is also not there. This also I am going to provide in the form of tabular column, children. So we have 2 allotropic forms of phosphorus. As you all know, it is PCl3, PCl5. This I will be sending in the form of tabular column. These two topics, that is phosphorus and oxides of nitrogen. Then group 16 elements. How to remember group 16 elements? O style say TPO. O style say TPO. TPO means a kind of cheating. O style say TPO. O stands for oxygen, style that is sulfur, say selenium, TPO, TE for tellurium and PO for polonium. So these are the elements which are coming under group 16. I am going to call them as oxygen family. So group 16 elements are coming under the category. They are oxygen family. So what are they? O style say TPO, that is oxygen, sulfur, selenium, tellurium, polonium. What is the general electronic configuration? It is NS2 NP4. What did I told you for nitrogen family? It is NS2 NP126. Okay. Now this is nothing but your electronic configuration of the group 16 elements. This is the trend in the periodic table. As we saw our trend in the periodic table of nitrogen family, I told you atomic radii, melting point and boiling point increases while all other property decreases. Same thing here also. See, atomic radii increases. Done. Then melting point increases as we move down the group. Boiling point increases as we go down the group. I have told you the definition for all these. Now, which is going to decrease? Electronegativity decreases, ionization enthalpy decreases, electron affinity decreases. So, these are the 5 properties which we are seeing under trends in the periodic table. What are the 5? Atomic radii, melting point, boiling point, then electronegativity, electron affinity. So, in both nitrogen family, that is group 15, and in group 16, atomic radii, melting point and boiling point increases while electron affinity and electronegativity decreases. Easily you can remember. Then what is the oxidation state? I told you there your nitrogen exists between -3 and +5. Here the oxidation state, most common oxidation state is -2. For almost all the chalcogens, it can be -2, +2, +4, +6. These are the possible oxidation state of these elements. Now, moving to chemical properties. When oxygen reacts with sulfur dioxide is formed. Now, if sulfur is going to react with the oxidizing agent, say for example nitric acid, what is the product? Sulfuric acid is formed. Then NO2 is formed, then water is formed. NO2 is formed, no children, so you can make out whether it is concentrated or dilute. Now with alkali, when sulfur reacts with sodium hydroxide, then sodium sulfate, sodium sulfide and water molecule is formed. As I told you, all the reactions of this chapter is very direct. Now the reaction of sulfur with metals. When sulfur reacts with copper, you will be getting, when sulfur reacts with carbon, you will be getting carbon disulfide. When it reacts with hydrogen, you will be getting hydrogen sulfide. When it reacts with fluoride, you will be getting sulfur hexafluoride. When sulfur reacts with metals like copper, you will be getting copper sulfide. So, like how our nitrogen formed hydrides, your sulfur is going to form sulfides here. Then, what about the reactivity? What about the reactivity, children? When you look into the metallic character increases as we move down the group. See, oxygen, sulfur, non-metals. Selenium, tellurium, metalloids, or otherwise they are semiconductors. Polonium is a metal. I have differentiated these 5 elements in the form of metals, metalloids and non-metals. Now, when you look into their tendency of these 5 elements to form double bond, the tendency, say for example double, triple or 4 bonds, the tendency of forming this multiple bond decreases as we moving down the group. Say for example, carbon formed a double bond with oxygen, this is stable. But when it is going to form with S and C, this is moderately stable. And when it is going to form with selenium, it is decomposed readily, while tellurium is not at all formed. So first is about oxygen, second is about sulfur, this is about selenium and this is about tellurium. The last will not be formed because the stability is decreasing. Now formation of hydrides. What is the formula for the formation of hydrides from group 15 elements is MH3. They will be forming trihydrides. But group 16 elements will be forming dihydrides, that is H2, where M stands for oxygen, sulfur, selenium, etc. Now, when you look into the stability of hydrides, as we know, the stability of hydride decreases as we move down the group. Except water, all other hydrides are poisonous and they are foul-smelling gases. Say, when oxygen is forming hydride, when oxygen combines with H2, you will be getting water. So, except that oxygen, all hydrides of these metals are poisonous, they are foul-smelling gases. When you look into acidic character and the reducing nature, that also increases as we move down the group. So, reducing character and acidic character decreases. Now, when you look into the structure, they all will be angular structure and the central atom will be sp3 hybridized. And MH bond angle length also decreases. Boiling point decreases from water to hydrogen sulfide and then it decreases. So, this is nothing but trend in the formation of the hydrides. Then this is nothing but your formation of halides. So as I told you, the elements of group 16 will form halides. See, when oxygen and fluorine combine to form compounds, they are called as oxyfluoride because fluorine is electronegative than oxygen. Oxygen is also electronegative, fluorine is also electronegative, but comparatively fluorine is more electronegative than oxygen, so they are called as oxyfluoride. So what type of halides are formed? This is monohalides, and this is dihalides, this is tetrahalides because 4, and when 6 is there, this is hexahalides. So these are the types of halides formed from group 16 elements. Then formation of oxides. As I discussed about how they formed monohalide, dihalide, trihalide, in the same way they are able to form monooxide, dioxide and trioxides. Then among the group 16 elements, the anomalous fellow, the exceptional fellow is oxygen. Like how nitrogen is gas, all others are solids. Similarly, oxygen is gas, all others are solids. Your oxygen is also diatomic, all others are polyatomic. Oxygen is paramagnetic while all others are diamagnetic. You know what is diamagnetic? No? Which don't possess any unpaired electron. But paramagnetic possess unpaired electron. And they form hydrogen bonds so that hydrides will be formed. And they too form alcohols, they do form carboxylic acid because all ends with OH, right? Alcohol ROH, carboxylic acid RCOOH. Then they form pi double bonds, same case as that of nitrogen. And when you look into the oxidation state, these are the possible oxidation state. They form ionic compounds. Then how to prepare dioxygen? How will you prepare dioxygen? I need carbon dioxide from atmosphere. I need water. This carbon dioxide and water in the presence of light and plant enzymes, I will be getting carbohydrate, which is nothing but glucose C6H12O6 along with the dioxygen and water molecule. Okay, so this is like that of photosynthesis where carbon dioxide, water in the presence of light, plant enzyme. So glucose, oxygen and water. Can you know what is this kind of reaction? What did I told you? The same thing. Okay. Very familiar reaction. We have been studying that reaction from class 3 to 4. Then how to, that is one way. And what is the other way to prepare oxygen? When you decompose, when you thermal decompose oxygen rich compounds, say for example, I have potassium chlorate. This potassium chlorate, when you heat them in the presence of the catalyst manganese dioxide, this is a catalyst for all these reactions, manganese dioxide, then potassium chlorate will break down to give you dioxygen and the end product will be potassium chloride. Say for example, potassium nitrate gives you dioxygen and potassium nitrate. And this is KMNO4, that is potassium permanganate, also give rise to oxygen and you will be getting manganese oxide. So this is second way to produce from potassium compounds, potassium chlorate, potassium permanganate, then potassium nitrate, etc. Then second method is, this method we have seen in class 11. By decomposing hydrogen peroxide, we will be getting dioxygen. Okay. So decomposition of hydrogen peroxide in the presence of MnO2, that is manganese dioxide as a catalyst, this also results in the production of oxygen gas. Also you can produce oxygen from barium oxide, from manganese oxide, from lead oxide, etc. And this is the manufacturing of oxygen by commercial method. There are two methods for commercial production. One is fractional distillation and other one is electrolysis. Hope you all remember electrolysis of acidified water. This is also a familiar reaction which we have studied in class 11. When we pass electric current, what happens to positive ion and negative ion? This is fractional distillation of liquid air. Then what is the properties? We know oxygen is a colorless gas. It is odorless. It does not possess any taste. And it is heavier than air. It is sparingly soluble in water. Because of this solubility, aquatic animals are able to survive. And it is difficult to liquefy, that is its boiling point is 90.2 K, and the liquid is pale blue in color and it is appreciably magnetic. And what happens at lower temperature, it is still light blue solid oxygen can be obtained, which has a melting point of 54.4 K. So oxygen has the ability to get sparingly dissolved in water. And this is your reaction. I am going to tell the reaction, you can just tell the end product. When oxygen reacts with the sodium, you will be getting sodium oxide. When oxygen reacts with calcium, calcium oxide, which is nothing but quicklime. Now when oxygen reacts with iron, you will be getting iron oxide. And when oxygen reacts with less amount of carbon, I mean when it reacts with more amount of carbon, when excess oxygen is treated with carbon, you will be getting carbon dioxide along with heat. But when less amount of oxygen is applied to carbon, then CO, carbon monoxide, is formed. But you know, carbon monoxide is the main culprit for global warming and greenhouse effect. I mean, so carbon monoxide inhaling is proved to be fatal. This reaction also we have seen clearly. So with the less oxygen, carbon monoxide. With more oxygen, carbon dioxide is formed. Then when oxygen reacts with sulfur, sulfur dioxide. When oxygen reacts with hydrogen, you will be getting water. Then when oxygen reacts with ammonia, you will be getting nitric oxide and water. Then when oxygen reacts with sulfur dioxide, you will be getting sulfur trioxide. You will be getting sulfur trioxide. So oxygen reacts with metal sulfide, forming metal oxides and sulfur dioxide. This is a hint for whatever the reaction I have explained you. When oxygen reacts with metal sulfide, what is the end product? It should be sulfur dioxide and metal oxide. When it reacts with hydrocarbons, then it should be carbon dioxide and water. Now coming to the uses, as I told you, oxygen is essential for the survival of life. Since it dissolves sparingly in water, it is essential for aquatic animal survival. And oxygen gas is used with hydrogen or coal gas in case of blowpipes, where it is used in welding and cutting metals. It is used in large number of industrial processes. And oxygen gas is also used to treat ammonia and gas poisoning, where it is used as an anesthetic when it is mixed with nitrous oxide, ether vapor, etc. So when it is mixed with ether vapor and nitrous oxide, it is used as anesthesia, it is used as anesthetic, especially in the treatment of gas poisoning as well as in case of pneumonia, which is nothing but a bronchial disease. Now moving to carbon dioxide. See, when carbon dioxide is mixed with oxygen, then it stimulates breathing. Carbon dioxide mixed with oxygen stimulates breathing, and this mixture can also be used in case of poisoning and collapse, where this therapy is used for restoring respiration, oxygen along with carbon dioxide. And when you mix liquid oxygen with the charcoal, that is used as an explosive. So these are the uses of oxygen. So when I'm going to tell about oxygen, obviously I should think about ozone, because that's also a derivative of oxygen. What is the formula for ozone? It is nothing but O3. So O3 or trioxygen, it is a triatomic molecule consisting of 3 oxygen atom. It's also an allotrope of oxygen, but it is very less stable than O2. Okay, it is less stable than O2. So it breaks down in the lower atmosphere to normal dioxygen. When ozone is coming down to the lower atmosphere, it breaks down to O2. Now how ozone is formed? When you mix dioxygen in the presence of ultraviolet light and electrical discharges, then you will be getting O3. O2 in the presence of UV light and electrical discharges, O2 along with O will be giving rise to your ozone. O2 dioxygen along with the nascent oxygen. So in total, what is the composition of ozone in the atmosphere? It is 0.6 ppm of the atmosphere, parts per million of the atmosphere. As I told you, your UV light breaks your O2 into nascent oxygen. This nascent oxygen will be combining with the gaseous oxygen, that is dioxygen, to produce O3. But this O3 is unstable. When it reaches the lower atmosphere, it again breaks down to give you nascent oxygen and O2. So the cycle will be happening. And ozone is a pale blue gas. It is slightly soluble in water, but it is more soluble in case of polar solvents like CCl4 and fluorocarbons. It is lightly soluble, but in case of non-polar solvents, it is readily soluble. And since it forms blue solution, it condenses to form dark blue liquid. At this particular temperature, it will be condensing to give you a dark blue liquid. When you give the temperature below 80 degree Kelvin, it forms violet black color solid. So these are very exciting properties of ozone. So ozone is a powerful oxidizing agent. How powerful? It is powerful than your dioxygen. It is also unstable when it is present in high concentration. So it immediately decomposes to give you your oxygen. See, ozone decomposes to give you dioxygen. Ozone oxidizes nitric oxide to give nitrogen dioxide. And ozone oxidizes lead sulfide to sulfates. Okay, it oxidizes lead sulfide to sulfates. And whenever ozone is present, the end product should obviously be dioxygen, because it won't be stable, it decomposes to give you dioxygen. And see the reaction, barium oxide along with ozone, what's the product, children? It is oxygen plus barium oxide. Hydrogen peroxide plus ozone, dioxygen plus water. Ozone plus potassium iodide plus water, end product is oxygen, water, potassium hydroxide. So when the reactant is O3, the product should be O2. Okay children, one of the product should be O2. So ozone, it's a reagent which is used for large amount of organic reactions in the laboratory, in the industry. And ozonolysis, cleavage, lysis means breakdown. It is nothing but cleavage of an alkene to carbonyl compounds. When I give ozone, it cleaves alkene to give you carbonyl compounds. And you know, many hospitals will be using around the world are using ozone generators so as to decontaminate the operation theaters. Say for example, the scheduled operation timing will be whatever the interval they are getting between these operations, they will be decontaminating the operation theaters by using your ozone generator, because the rooms are cleaned and then sealed airtight before being filled with ozone, which is effectively going to kill or neutralizes all the remaining bacteria. It's going to decontaminate the entire room. And it is used as an alternative to chlorine and chlorine dioxide in the bleaching of wood pulp. So we know about hypochlorous acid. So where it is used as an alternative for bleaching of wood pulp, and it is used in conjunction with oxygen and hydrogen peroxide, so that there is no need for chlorine containing compounds in the manufacture of high quality white paper. Okay, so when your ozone is mixed with oxygen and hydrogen peroxide, it is removing or it is reducing the need for chlorine containing compounds to produce white paper, high quality white paper. And ozone is also used to detoxify cyanide containing waste. It is used to detoxify cyanide containing waste. So our next element in group 16 after oxygen is sulfur, which we'll be seeing in the next class. See children, all these reactions you try to write in your notebook. Okay, write only the reactants and try to derive the products, because all the reactions are direct. Then try to balance the reaction. It becomes very easy. Thank you children.